And we'll start off with the San Francisco 49ers, who, as we all know, just recently lost in the Super Bowl. And we're going to focus this around one conversation particularly, Brock Purdy. Now, Brock Purdy this year, statistically, one of the best seasons you could really have. Highest QBR in the league, highest passer rating, 31 touchdowns, was third in the NFL, fifth in yards, fourth in completion percentage. Statistically, Brock Purdy is a very, very good quarterback. And, I think a lot of people around the league really like him, but then, of course, there's the group of people around the league who don't. So what I want to ask you, Ziggy, is if you were a 49ers fan, I don't want to say, do you believe Brock Purdy can win the Super Bowl? Because he just got there, and it feels kind of dumb to say, can he win one? Because they were right on the verge, a couple plays away. But do you believe in Brock Purdy as a franchise caliber quarterback for the 49ers?
A lot of that just depends, I think, on what you take franchise caliber quarterback to mean. Here's what we know about Brock
Mm-hmm.
Purdy. Brock Purdy, over the course of a season, can sustain high level production. And of course, there was some luck in that, like there always is when guys do really well. Of course, there were weapons around him. But to people who say just anyone can operate this offense, it is so much better than when Jimmy G was there. It's a million times better than all of the undrafted free agent quarterbacks they tried to cycle through whenever Jimmy G was hurt. It's way better than when Trey Lance was operating it. So like, clearly they've got something in Brock Purdy. Now, like most teams in the NFL, I think the 49ers are going to keep their eyes open. If there's a real chance to upgrade at quarterback, they might take it. But there are so many other things going on for them this offseason. I think it's going to be very difficult to justify any move away from Brock Purdy, and I'm expecting continued production into the future.
Yeah, I don't expect Brock Purdy to be moved on from anytime soon. This would be more of a situation where somewhere down the line, a quarterback, if the 49ers could get Caleb Williams, I would say, yes, go after Caleb Williams. There are teams, if the Packers, for instance, had the shot at Caleb Williams, I'm probably rolling out Jordan Love next year. You know what I mean? That's where I feel a franchise quarterback, someone that I'm very confident in, can be the guy going forward. And Purdy to me is someone who, he is very good. Like, I don't want to make it sound like Brock Purdy's not a great quarterback, but when I go through the league, let's listen to this right here. Zig. Yeah, I ranked it before the show. When you're talking about quarterbacks in the league, I'm probably taking Dak, Hurts, Jordan Love, Kirk, Goff, Stafford, Kyler in the NFC. So already he's eighth best in the NFC to me. In the AFC, then, I'm going Burrow, I'm going Lamar, I'm going Herbert, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. I actually think I might take Purdy over Tua. Is
I
that?
would. I would.
I think I would. Lawrence Stroud, and I'd take Anthony Richardson still. Like, I'm bullish on Richardson. So that would have him 17th best QB in the league.
And
And
say
when
you
I
take
say
out
he's
a
a really,
yes, well,
yeah,
just
go
say you
ahead.
take out a few of those. I mean, then he's 14th, 13th, 12th. He's nowhere near top 10.
Yeah. So like, and some of those conversations are close, but the same goes the other way. There's a few guys that where maybe like Baker's could be close at times, although I'd prefer Brock. But yeah, so he's about a league average quarterback, even though I'm sitting here saying he's really, really good. And I think those two things can coexist. You can be very confident that Brock Purdy can take you on a deep playoff run, but at the same time, be aware in the back of your mind that yes, there are better options out there. And if the opportunity presents itself, we've seen that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are not hesitant to pull the trigger and make a big move for one of these guys. So ultimately for me, that's where I come down. I like this guy a lot. Next year, I'm very confident that the 49ers are the number one team who can win to come out of the NFC right now to go to the Super Bowl. But at the same time, I'm going to keep my options open. And it seems like you agree with that.
Yeah, well, the 49ers are going to face a tough choice next offseason because Purdy is going to want a close to top of the league extension.
Yep.
And I mean, you've seen it now. Deebo Samuel's getting paid a lot of money. George Kittle's getting paid a lot of money. Brandon Aiyuk, they're going to have to either trade him this offseason or pay him a lot of money. Christian McCaffrey, right? And it's just impossible to keep all of those guys. So they're either going to have to cut back on the spending on defense or prepare to see what Brock Purdy can do without some of those weapons. So the 49ers are going to be keeping a close eye on him this offseason and this regular season. But the big question for the 49ers, I think, this year is just what the heck do you do with Brandon Aiyuk?
Well, I mean, Ayuk, he seemed quiet to me when like I didn't, my head is dived head first into the NFL season with producing it, doing this show, and Brandon Ayuk. I know he had great numbers, but didn't I wasn't hearing a lot about Brandon Ayuk other than when I was specifically seeking it out. Dude had an awesome year. It's just, do you think he's worth big time receiver money? Statistically, he is.
I think he's worth it more than Deebo Samuel.
He's a better receiver than Deebo Samuel. Most people would say but Deebo's a phenomenal playmaker. Like, who's more valuable to the 49ers, Deebo or Brandon Ayuk to you?
Brandon Aiyuk. I don't think it's particularly close.
Okay, I bet a lot of 49ers fans. Now, maybe that's just because of Deebo's popularity.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is just Brandon Aiyuk. Here's the thing about Brandon Aiyuk is he's more valuable to the 49ers than he is to any other team. Brandon Aiyuk, there are a lot of other teams that could use a playmaker like him. But Aiyuk, after sort of getting out of that early career doghouse, there are some games in the season. I mean, how many games did he have this year where he went over 100 yards? Like
No,
eight or nine?
he's capable of taking over games. I just think when I know that Ayuk's a lot. Aiyuk is what? How many years younger than
I believe he's 3 or 4 years younger. Aiyuk's 25. Deebo, I believe, is 28. And
Yeah, so
Deebo has a
Deebo,
tough injury history.
yeah, Deebo has tough injury history. I do think when he's available, Deebo is more valuable than Brandon Aiyuk. I know you disagree with that. I just think Deebo is a phenomenal playmaker. But when you take into consideration age and the injury history, I mean, yeah, it's a tough decision on Aiyuk. You probably got to give him the money, though. He's earned it with the way he's played recently. I actually really, just to go back for a second, I think it was really a fascinating thought about what San Francisco will do when Purdy ultimately demands, more money, which he rightfully should. The guy has only lost a handful of games in his NFL career. The problem is with those losses, we saw it this year during that 3 game skid for San Francisco. Purdy was really bad, and like he at first seemed invincible, and then we saw this year that there are some chinks in the armor, and when he's off, I mean he's really off, and he actually cost them games. He wasn't good against Green Bay. He wasn't particularly good against Detroit. But to be fair to Brock Purdy, when it mattered, he got the job done. So I think this year is really going to be the critical year. If he has an opportunity to earn that contract, whatever he's going to ask for. If he goes out and balls out again, it's hard to look at the situation in San Francisco and say, let's pass this up, because you're right. The San Francisco offense is way better with him than it was with really any quarterback they've had recently. So I think we just have to wait and see on year 3. Seems fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. But it's the 49ers are going to be facing tough choices next year. So I'm curious to watch what they do this offseason to try and prepare for that.
Yeah, and that window too, it's still open for them to win, but with all the skill players they have, the injuries, like you said, next year is a huge year for San Francisco in many ways. It could be one of the final years they have of a big time Super Bowl run before money becomes an issue too. So we'll talk about the 49ers a lot. We just wanted to hit on that off the bat.